People often believe a college degree is the golden ticket to success. But if that's true, why do so many billionaires walk away from traditional education? Think about Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, or Richard Branson. These icons didn't follow the typical path. Some even dropped out, yet still built massive empires. Were they just lucky, or did they tap into a different kind of learning that schools don't teach? In this video, we'll break down why billionaires often reject the standard education system, and more importantly, what they do instead. By the end, you'll discover how to apply their strategies to your own life. If you're part of Believe Nation, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments so I can feature you in a future video. And if you're new here, welcome. The channel that helps you believe in yourself every single day. Let's bust the school equals success myth. Yes, education has value. In fact, 84% of the world's richest people did graduate from college. But here's the twist. Many of the most legendary billionaires reached the top without ever finishing school. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison. All left college early and still landed on world's wealthiest lists. These cases are exceptions, not the rule. But they prove that a traditional degree isn't the only path to extraordinary success. Why is this dropout billionaire story so enticing? It's because it challenges the norm. It makes you wonder if going against the grain might actually work. Now, I'm not telling you to drop out of school. Most people who do that don't become billionaires. What matters is why. These outliers felt they could ignore the usual route. They weren't anti-education. They were just pro-learning in their own way. They believed in a different approach to education, one built on passion, vision, and continuous self-improvement. Passion over diplomas. The billionaire mindset. One key difference, it's mindset. Billionaires often prioritize passion and purpose over following a preset curriculum. They ask, is this teaching me what I need to fulfill my vision? And if the answer is no, they aren't afraid to chart their own course. Steve Jobs famously dropped out of college because he couldn't see the value in it for his goals. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. So I decided to drop out. It was one of the best decisions I ever made, Steve Jobs said. Free from required classes, he then followed his curiosity, like taking a calligraphy class just because it fascinated him. That seemingly useless interest later helped him build the Macintosh's beautiful typography. In other words, by pursuing what intrigued him instead of a standard syllabus, Jobs learned things that helped revolutionize personal computers. This pattern, it shows up again and again. These innovators have a burning interest or vision that traditional schooling can't always accommodate. They are hungry to learn, but on their own terms. Psychology calls this a growth mindset, the belief that you can develop your abilities through learning and efforts. People with this mindset thrive on challenges and see failure as a chance to grow. Billionaires like Jobs, Branson, or Musk, they exemplify this. They don't see a grade as a limit of their intelligence. They constantly ask questions, seek new skills, and believe that they can figure things out. As Stanford professor Carol Dweck notes, having a growth mindset is essential for success. And these entrepreneurs, they live that mindset every day. Passion matters more to them than diplomas. Instead of studying something because it's required, they zero in on learning what fuels their mission. This doesn't mean school is bad. It means education is not confined to a classroom. If you have a dream that doesn't fit neatly into a degree program, are you willing to learn in other ways? That's the question these billionaires answered with a resounding yes. Self-education learning never stops. Just because they ignored formal education doesn't mean billionaires stop learning. Far from it. In fact, they are often obsessive self-educators to simply trade classrooms and exams for books, mentors, and real-world practice. Learning becomes a lifelong habit, not a phase of life. Elon Musk is a perfect example. He earned degrees in physics and economics, but he's the first to say that college wasn't where he learned the most. You don't need college to learn stuff. You can learn anything you want for free. I think colleges are basically for fun. Muse bluntly remarked, "This isn't a knock on knowledge." Muse arguably knows more than most graduates. It's a knock on the traditional format of knowledge. When Muse wanted to build rockets, he didn't go back to school for aerospace engineering. He taught himself by reading textbooks and seeking out experts. One early SpaceX mentor said, Musk literally taught himself rocket science by reading textbooks and talking to industry heavyweights. All that information, it was out there, and Musk had the self-drive to absorb it. This self-education habit is common among top billionaires. They read voraciously. Warren Buffett, for example, spends about 5 to 6 hours a day reading and has done so throughout his entire career. He says the key to success is simple. Read 500 pages every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up like compound interest. The average person could do it, Buffett insists, but most won't, which is why he gains a competitive advantage. Bill Gates also shared that reading is still the main way that I both learn new things and test my understanding. So these billionaires, they essentially create their own curriculum continuously. They treat learning as a daily ritual, not something that stops at graduation. Now, you might not have 5 hours a day to read, but the lesson here is that information is freely available as never before. Books, online courses, videos like this one. Billionaires take advantage of this. They turn their curiosity into knowledge. No permission needed. So ask yourself, when was the last time you learned a new skill on your own just because you wanted to? The tools are out there, and the most successful people use them relentlessly. The school of experience, learning by doing. Beyond books, billionaires learn by doing. This is a huge factor in why some of them cut short their formal education. They felt they could learn more on the job or by starting a venture than sitting in a lecture hall. There's a saying, experience is the best teacher. These entrepreneurs take that view to heart. They see the real world as their classroom. Let's look at Sir Richard Branson. He struggled in school because of dyslexia and dropped out at age 15 to start a youth-run magazine. Pretty bold move, right? Branson says it was the hands-on experience that taught him what he needed. I left school at 15, and I was struggling to survive in the jungle, and that was a great education. Just getting out there hands-on teaches you a lot. His magazine venture became his first success, and he kept building from there. From music to airlines to telecom. Branson believes if you want to be an entrepreneur, then don't waste your time going to university or business school. Just get on and do it. It's not that he sees no value in knowledge. He simply learned by jumping in and figuring things out on the fly. In Branson's own words, my career has been my education. He wrote about how tackling real business problems taught him more than any textbook. In the end, solutions to big problems won't come from doing school reports, but by getting out there, asking questions, seeing differently, and finding the answers ourselves. That quote is awesome because it's so empowering. You can learn by trying, by creating, by failing, and then by trying again. And schools often fear failure. You get a bad grade and it hurts your GPA. But in the entrepreneurial world, failure, it's feedback. Every failed product, every mistake teaches a lesson that brings you closer to your goal. Take the example of software billionaires. Many of them started coding and launching projects as teenagers. Bill Gates was programming computers in high school and even got early business experience through a deal to analyze traffic data. By the time he dropped out of Harvard to start Microsoft, he'd already been doing tech and business for years. The doing gave him the confidence that he was on the right track. Similarly, Mark Zuckerberg built the first version of Facebook in his dorm room. It grew so fast that he left Harvard to devote himself to it full-time because the experience of running a real company was teaching him more than any class in that moment. Here's the practical insight. Don't wait until you graduate to start pursuing your dream or testing your ideas. Start your projects now. Get that experience. Maybe it's a side hustle, a YouTube channel, a nonprofit initiative. Whatever drives you, treat it as your personal hands-on MBA Classroom. Learning is valuable, but it complements experience. It can't replace experience. Even if you stay in school, which can be great, seek out internships, build prototypes, join competitions, get your hands dirty. That's how you internalize skills and stand out. Billionaires often have a head start on mastery because they began their 10,000 hours of practice long before others did. Mentors and networks versus professors. And grades. Another thing billionaires do differently is seek mentors and learning from people, not just from institutions. So instead of only listening to professors or chasing A's, they actively find teachers in real life, experts, fellow entrepreneurs, even competitors to learn from them. They treat networking as learning. Elon Musk, as we already talked about, he cold called rocket experts when he was starting SpaceX. He wasn't shy about asking questions and getting guidance outside a formal class. That aerospace consultant Jim Cantrell became muster in the early days, and Muse soaked up knowledge from him and others in the field. Essentially, Muse created his own advisory board of experts to educate him. This kind of mentorship and advice seeking is something you can do at any stage. If you're curious about a field, reach out to people who know more. Many successful people are surprisingly willing to share advice if you're genuinely interested and respectful of their time. Billionaires also learn from peers. For example, Mark Zuckerberg has often cited how important his network at Harvard was not the classes but the people. He met co-founders of Facebook there and even met his wife in college. Zuckerberg valued college as a great social experience to meet talented people, but he's not sure that college is preparing people for the jobs that they need today. In a podcast interview, he pointed out that huge student debt and lack of practical training are big issues with the current system. He even suggested that maybe not everyone needs to go to college, especially as more alternative paths emerge. This is coming from a Harvard dropout who clearly learned a lot from other people and from actually launching a company. What billionaires do is surround themselves with smart, driven individuals and learn from them. It's often said that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. If you spend your time only in structured classes, you're limited to that environment. These entrepreneurs went out and found communities where they could exchange ideas, get feedback, and be inspired. Think of the PayPal mafia. That's Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and others who built PayPal in the early 2000s. They learned from each other. And after PayPal, that network spun out into multiple billion-dollar companies. Tesla, LinkedIn, Palantir, YouTube, etc. They didn't learn that in a lecture. They learned it by collaborating and mentoring each other. So the actionable insight for you: find your mentors and your tribe. If you're in school, those could be a professor whose outlook you admire or a club with like-minded innovators. If you're already in the working world, seek mentors in your industry or even online. We live in an age where you can follow CEOs on X. You could join startup meetups or watch interviews. This channel right here is full of advice from legends, effectively giving you access to virtual mentors. So, take advantage of that. Don't learn in isolation. Successful people often credit mentors for their breakthroughs. So why not proactively look for those teachers outside of the classroom? Skills over degrees. Value creation is the real test. Traditional education is big on credentials, grades, degrees, titles. Billionaires, however, focus on skills and value creation. They ask, what can you actually do? What problems can you solve? Paper qualifications alone don't impress them as much as real capability. Elon Musk shows this attitude in his companies when hiring. He famously says a college degree means little to him compared to someone's ability to get things done. We don't care where you went to school, or even if you went to school, just show us your code, Musk wrote when recruiting engineers for X. He has hired people without degrees who demonstrated talent through coding projects or practical work. Musk even noted that he'd value a candidate who built useful software on their own over someone with a PhD but no tangible output. This mindset permeates many innovative companies today. Google, Apple, and others have relaxed degree requirements because they realize what billionaires knew all along. Skills are more valuable than credentials. Billionaires ignore traditional education in the sense that they don't blindly trust a system to prepare them. Instead, they take responsibility for mastering the skills they need. If school provides it, great. If not, they'll get those skills elsewhere. It's no coincidence that many self-made tycoons are essentially self-taught in key areas of their business. Another example is how these leaders often encourage unconventional problem solving. They're not looking for how well you can memorize textbook answers. They care how you think. The conventional education model sometimes trains us to avoid mistakes and just follow instructions. But in business, the big wins come from thinking differently and sometimes breaking the rules legally and ethically. Of course, billionaires often credit their success to understanding the limitations that traditional thinking imposed. They keep an open mind and adapt quickly, which is a skill in itself. So ask yourself, what skill do you need to reach your goals? And how can you start developing it today? It might be coding, marketing, design, public speaking, anything. You can learn so much through practice, online tutorials, mentors, etc. Don't wait for a syllabus to tell you that it's time to learn a skill. Seek out the knowledge and practice on your own. Your ability to create value is what will ultimately determine your success, not just the name of a school on a diploma. Education in your traditional sense is one way to gain skills, but it's not the only way. And billionaires prove that by hiring and succeeding based on real world abilities. If you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description to go grab it. Let's start building real momentum in your life and business. I'll see you there. What you can do, design your education. By now, you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Billionaires learn differently. But what about me? The great news is you can apply these principles in your own life starting now. You don't have to be a billionaire or ignore your classes to benefit from this approach. This segment is all about you taking these insights and turning them into action steps for your personal growth. Step number 1, take charge of your learning. Even if you're in school, don't be a passive student. Identify what skills or knowledge you need for your goals and actively pursue them. This could mean reading books outside of your coursework, signing up for an online class, or building something on your own. Be the CEO of your own education. So, for example, if you dream of starting a business, start learning about entrepreneurship right now. Not just theoretically, but by running a small venture or side hustle. Remember, all the knowledge you need is accessible if you're resourceful. As Elon Musk said, you can learn anything you want for free in today's world. So make a list of topics you're curious about and commit to learning a bit each day. That habit is like compounding interest on your personal value. Number 2, follow your curiosity and passion. So if there's a project or subject that lights you up, dive into it, even if it's not part of a formal program. Steve Jobs learned calligraphy with no idea how it would help him. It seemed useless at the time, but it became incredibly useful later. Trust that your interests have value. Your passion can become your superpower because you'll naturally put in the hours to excel at it. So if you're coding late at night, or you're tinkering in a workshop, or you're writing stories, or you're designing games, know that you're building real expertise. It might even turn into a career or a company. Billionaires often started with a personal fascination that grew. Think of Zuckerberg with social networking, or Muse with space and electric cars. Give yourself permission to explore outside of the lines. Number 3, embrace failure as learning. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just treat them as lessons. In school, failing a test feels like the end of the world. But in life, failing a test just means learn and try again. The road to Success is paved with trials and errors. Instead of chasing perfect grades, chase improvement. Did your idea or prototype flop? Great. You just found one way that doesn't work. As Thomas Edison would say, analyze it, adjust, and try again. Each iteration makes you smarter and more resilient. This is how entrepreneurs eventually hit on billion-dollar ideas. Not usually on the first try, but through persistence and learning from each attempt. So start reframing failures as feedback. The faster you learn to do this, the faster you'll grow. Number 4, seek mentors and peers who inspire you. You don't have to figure everything out alone. Reach out to people who are doing what you want to do or who have the skills that you want to develop. That could mean emailing a professional in your field for advice. It could be finding a teacher or coach who believes in you or joining a community of like-minded learners. Build your own personal board of advisors. As they say, success leaves clues. And by surrounding yourself with successful, positive people, you'll pick up on their habits and their mindset. Many successful entrepreneurs say they got a crucial boost from mentors. So look around who, in your life or your extended network, could be a mentor for you. And how can you contribute value to that relationship as well? It can start as simply as asking a question or seeking feedback on your work. Don't be shy. The worst that can happen is you get no reply, but the best is you gain a lifelong coach or friend. Number 5, focus on skills and impact. So, starting today, pay attention to what you can do, not just what grades or certificates you have. Make a list of skills you want to acquire in the next year and start working on them one by one. Treat it like a game or like a challenge. You can't code? Cool. Try a beginner project on GitHub or a coding boot camp online. Want to improve at public speaking? Awesome. Join a local Toastmasters club or practice by making short videos. Post it on YouTube. Each skill you build is like adding a tool to your toolbox that can open new opportunities for you. And when you do pursue formal education or apply for jobs, you'll stand out because you can demonstrate real abilities. You will have a portfolio of projects, not just a resume of classes. And that's the kind of thing that impresses visionary leaders. They see a bit of themselves in someone who goes beyond the syllabus. Believe in your own path. At the end of the day, the reason billionaires ignore traditional education is because they believe in their own path. They have an unshakable faith in their vision and in their ability to learn what's necessary along the journey. And this is perhaps the biggest takeaway of all: self-belief. When Steve Jobs dropped out, or when Elon Musk started a rocket company with no aerospace background, there was an immense level of self-belief at work. They bet on themselves. They believed that they could figure it out even if they took an unconventional route. And guess what? You have that same potential for self-belief. It doesn't require billions of dollars or a genius IQ. It requires giving yourself permission to trust your intuition and abilities. Believe that you can learn whatever skill or knowledge you need. Believe that you can contribute to the world in a meaningful way. Degree or no degree, education is everywhere if you have the mindset to seek it. This isn't about saying college is worthless. College can be an amazing resource and experience for many people. It's about realizing that your education is ultimately in your hands. You don't have to be limited by what's taught in the classroom. You can learn from books, from people, from trials, from YouTube, from every experience life throws at you. Billionaires become billionaires in part because they never stop learning and never stop growing. They cultivate themselves relentlessly. And as a lot of the stories on this channel highlight, each of these leaders had moments of doubt and obstacles, but they pushed through by focusing on growth and keeping their vision front and center. They model success. They learn from others, and then they turn around and innovate in their own way. Now it's your turn. Believe that you can craft your own path. And maybe that means excelling in school and doing extra on the side. Maybe it means taking a non-traditional route in your career. Whatever it is, know that the same principles apply. Stay curious. Be courageous in action. Seek wisdom from everywhere and trust yourself. You have the ability to achieve great success and fulfillment by learning and adapting continually, just like the billionaires we talked about. In the words of one of those billionaires, stay hungry, stay foolish. That was Steve Jobs. And be hungry too. Learn and unafraid to do what others might call foolish when you pursue an unconventional dream. That's how you break new ground. That's how you end up changing the world. So why do billionaires ignore traditional education? Because learning on their own terms empowers them to achieve the extraordinary, and you can do the same in your life. It all starts with a choice to take ownership of your growth. Remember, you have what it takes to succeed with or without a fancy diploma. Use every resource available. Never stop improving and believe in yourself even when the road is different. Forge your path, keep learning and keep going. Ultimately, the most important school is life itself, and class is in session every day, if you're willing to learn. So go out there and make your own education, your own destiny. You've got this. And congratulations. You're one video closer to who you're meant to be. To learn why entrepreneurship isn't taught in school, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. You probably spent years in school learning math, science, and history. But let me ask, did anyone ever teach you how to start your own business? Chances are no one did. It's crazy